Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Ether Tale Radio Theater. Here we are, the not ready for primetime players. Not ready again. Did you hear us scurrying around moments ago? Still stepping over chords, plugging things in. And still that one chicken who's loose in the theater from that last barnyard sketch. Oh, man. But today we've got a special teleporter transporter to bring people in. Oh, Kevin! Kevin has materialized. Thank goodness. Kevin's going to read the first story this evening. Now, Kevin, as you know, because you were there, these stories were originally read at UC San Diego's Geisel Library, the Mothership, last Thursday, January 19th, when we had our event, Short Tales from the Mothership. The Mothership being the iconic sci-fi Geisel Library building, which is so space-shippy trippy. Don't you agree? Now, Kevin, now that you've got your legs back from the teleporter, I'm going to stand up and you're going to sit in this chair and you're going to read your original story from that microfiction event. Kevin, don't you agree that all should make a resolution to join our microfiction revolution? Don't you agree? And the best way to do that, Kevin, is for you to sit right down here and read your story. I'm going to stand up. And you're going to sit down. Now, Kevin, state your full name for the people.
Hi, Scott. Thank you so much for having me. This is Kevin Perozzo, student at UCSD.
Yes, and remember, the mic is like Popeye's pipe. You lean in and it's on the side.
That's right.
Yes, and Kevin Perozzo. All single letters. Easy to spell. P-E-R-E-Z-O.
Almost there. It's okay.
Yeah. Very good.
Hi there, everybody. All right, so today I'll be reading an original piece called The Sprout Farmer's Secret. Cabbages. Tiny cabbages. Brussels sprouts, to be exact. After 31 years of sprout farming, it had become quite clear to Greg that these tiny spherical vegetables held a power much greater than their 6 cents an ounce sale price might convey. But of course, nobody else would ever be lucky enough to know that. People hated Brussels sprouts. As a matter of fact, in all of the 31 years that Greg had been a farmer, he had never sold a single one. He had definitely tried. There was no doubt about that. He tried lowering the prices, but still they wouldn't sell. He tried mixing them in with other vegetables, but the shoppers always picked them out before paying. On multiple occasions, he tried dyeing them different colors so that they would look tastier, but people were never fooled. Once he posted a sign claiming they granted supernatural powers, but his customers barely gave it a glance. Even his family, loving as they might be, refused to eat the sprouts that he had grown with his own 2 hands, no matter how deliciously they were seasoned. He was the only one who ate them, and with a tinge of sadness, he finally realized that no matter how great he thought they were, people just didn't like Brussels sprouts. With his head hanging low, he gathered up the untouched crates of sprouts, and with a half-hearted leap, flew back to his farmhouse.
Bravo! Bravo, bravo, Kevin Perozzo. Kevin is an undergraduate at UC San Diego, and he's the official videographer at UC San Diego Library, among other things. And he's such a talented young man. And thank you, Kevin, for your time today. So grateful that you were able to... Oh, goodbye. Kevin, oh, he's gone. And I wanted to say so much more about him. Oh, my. Oh, now, Andrea, before you come over here, could I have a little interlude on the Moog Voyager? Could I hear something from that? Oh, my. Oh, how effective. Excellent. And now let me transport you over here. Come over this way, Andrea, over this way. Now, you're also going to read an original short story that you wrote for that Short Tales from the Mothership event. I'm so grateful. Please sit in this throne. To the people.
Yeah, hi, I'm Andrea Wingen, and I'm German. Sorry for that.
Don't be sorry. We're so grateful to have you here in our country, despite the Trumpian events that surround us.
Thank you, Scott. So I'm going to write my story, Back Home. I'm back home, finally. It was a day full of joy and laughter. Dinner with friends at my favorite Italian restaurant just a block down from the waterfront, drinking a little too much, sharing memories of the good old times. I'm in bed now, trying to sleep. A fresh sea breeze from the Pacific is coming through the open window. I can almost taste the salt on my lips. I feel the sleep coming and fall into the dream I know so well, the same dream I have over and over again. I'm back home, finally. It was a day full of joy and laughter, planet hopping with friends in the galaxy, shopping a little too much on Alpha Mercury, sipping too many holographic cocktails, sharing memories of the good old times. I'm floating in the air now, trying to sleep. A familiar scent of stardust passes by. I can almost feel the tickling in my nose. I feel the sleep coming and fall into the dream I know so well, the same dream I have over and over again. I'm back home, finally.
Brava! Brava, Andrea. Let's teleport you back to the Moog Voyager. Could you give us one more interlude, please? One more interlude. Oh, my. So effective, Andrea. So invigorating. Thank you. Thank you. That was a beautiful story, and you were a tremendous success at that live event at UC San Diego's Geisel Library. So grateful that you could come tonight to the radio station. And those were among the couple of authors who we were able to transport and teleport here. We're going to read more right now of those microfiction stories from that event that happened at Geisel Library. And again, these were all inspired by the science fiction magazine editor George Hay, who dared some important science fiction authors to write some stories that could fit on a postcard, among them Arthur C. Clarke. And they all took the challenge, and the stories are just amazing. Now, joining me now, teleporting in, he comes in, another successful transport. Ryan Severance is here, and he is going to read 3 of the short stories that were presented last Thursday. He'll tell us who the author was, and he'll read the story. Oh, here you are, safely transported. Have a seat, Ryan.
Here I am. Thank you, Scott. This first one is by Timothy Chappell, and I'm not finding a title here.
It's entitled Untitled.
Ah, so futuristic indeed. So let's let her rip, shall we? You're about to become one of the first humans to live on Mars. These are your last moments on Earth, and you're spending them in the library? The library is full of stories. Characters who have faced some of the most terrifying challenges and yet have overcome them. I like to come here when I'm feeling lost or scared or weak. These books saved me. When? When I was at my lowest, when I was terrified. I had failed too many times and didn't know what to do. I got fired from my job and knew I'd be out on the streets. I knew it was over. I was ready for the screen to fade to black, like in a film or a video game. But it didn't. The movie kept playing. It wasn't the end. The universe wasn't done with me yet. What happened? One night, I took shelter in a library, and as I was there, I began to read a science fiction novel like I did when I was a child. And then I read another, and another. I saw that these characters were always having problems, but chose to see them as an adventure, and so I would be like them. Fear, problems, and adventure are often the same thing. And if I ever felt scared or lost again, I would return here and find more characters to learn from. Unlike the characters in these books, my story has not yet been written, and that excites me.
That is exciting, Ryan. And now you have another story to read, don't you?
But wait, there's more! From Michael Robinson. Entitled, The End. It's like this everywhere, sir, the stranger said to the wind. Your daughter, heading for Machu Picchu. People are literally blowing off the mountain. What? How do you... The world's slowing about its axis, stopping. Soon to restart in the opposite direction. Crazy talk, certifiable, but an instinct had come alive in me. There was something solid as gospel in those words. Winds will uproot towers, transmission points. Until then, call her. Tell her to go to Pisake now. Who are you? He turned to me. I should have seen a face given the light, but I only saw a void. I'm the end, good sir. With that, the end stepped, unaffected, through the winds. She picked up in 3 rings, shocked to hear my voice. Calls within Cusco had grown problematic. The winds were savage. Some evacuated to the valley. Pisaque, not sure. I saw an alert, I lied. Pisaque. Pisaque would weather this. You have your things, right? My daughter traveled light. She'd be ready to move once she decided on a direction. Might not make a transport, they... Cries interrupted her. What sounded like pleas to my non-existent Spanish. A voice, singular, sang through, calming the din. Then, my very good young lady, all of your belongings, yes? I'm off to Pisaque with these worthies in 5 minutes. You come, yes? I heard her answer, yes, even as I leapt to the window. But there was no sign of the end in any direction.
Oh, my. And is there another rhyme?
There is one more, Scott.
Excellent.
Would you like to hear it now?
Yes, and who wrote it?
This one was written by David Brin.
Oh, my God.
You've heard of him.
Yes.
Why?
Because he's famous. That's why.
Well, it's called Men in White. And it goes something like this. We roam the world trying to make you aware, to wake you up. Aliens are everywhere, along with ghosts, fairies, and demons. Most of them are decent enough, just trying to make a living. A few are nasty, but these are mostly kept in check by others. Whenever something crazy or anomalous happens, they, or their human servants, hush things up. It's way too easy for them to hush it up. We roam the world dressed in pale, using every means at our disposal, rousing human beings to notice. But you shy away, nearly all of you, averting your gaze, preferring not to see. You think you've got a pretty good beat on things. All those sci-fi flicks, we push ones accustoming you to the strange. They promote films instilling fear, teaching you to shiver or laugh or shrug off glimpses of the truth, dismissing them as excess, Hollywood-induced, overstimulated imagination. You need more, not less, much more. So we roam the world with flashing lights, drawing your gaze where it doesn't want to go, shouting, "Look!" pointing at visitors and meddlers you don't want to see, trying to make you aware, alerting some that a greater, weirder world is already here. It's all around you in terrifying, discomforting splendor. Aliens from Deneb, elves from forest islands you don't see just offshore, that tentacled Cthulian nerd who does your taxes, the muse you ignore. We are the folk who wear translucent shades of white. Wake the hell up.
Bravo. Ryan has been teleported away before we could thank him more properly. Goodbye, Ryan, goodbye. Teleported back to beautiful North Park, San Diego. Good night, Ryan. And again, we're reading original short stories that were premiered last week, January 19th, 2017, at UC San Diego's library at the Mothership, the Geisel Library building, that iconic William Pereira piece of architecture that's so spaceshipy, trippy. We were so delighted to have 20 authors premiere new short microfiction stories at that event. Short tales from the Mothership. And next, Melanie's being transported in. Melanie, you're just barely in view. It's still working. Good, excellent. Have a seat, Melanie. And Melanie, you're reading a couple, are you? Which how many are there?
I'm reading 3. Oh, wait, yes, 3.
Well,
I'm reading 3.
Excellent. I'm so proud to know that. Now, who's the first author?
The first author is Stacy, and I hope I'm saying this correctly, Trottier.
Yes, or we could say Trottier. We'll check in with her. I've had a chance to only speak with her on email, and she couldn't make it to the live event, but she was the first respondent to this request for microfiction, and we're very, very proud of her participation. Stacy, by Stacy, of course, I mean, Stacy, Stacytrottier, and this story is entitled To Not Be Titled.
Untitled.
Yes. Let's hear it.
I had never had so many eyes looking at me at once. I glanced down at my rumpled shirt and a tie I found in the back of my closet, long out of style and too short. I was told I had 5 minutes to get dressed when I opened the door, surprised to see 6 armed police officers. I didn't look nor feel important, but knew why I was summoned. Tell us what happened 2 nights ago, the prosecutor angrily spat at me as she held on to the banister in front of where I sat with white knuckles. I adjusted my glasses and began to recount the events from the gala. I was invited by a friend from the CDC. There were 2,000 people in attendance. 2,000 people at this party, and you were the only survivor, she interrogated. Tears sprang to my eyes as I answered, I believe the particles were in the liquor being served. I don't drink. The particles you mentioned being the culprit to highly intelligent, accomplished public health servants acting like barn animals? I nodded. Everyone dropped on all fours when the masked man walked in. He began to execute them one by one. I believe the particles attached to neurons that he could control. She continued, Doctor, all I know is that the entire CDC has been wiped out, and there is a mind-controlling madman on the loose. Her sentence cut short, and she fell to the floor, alive but paralyzed. I stood up and smiled.
And you have another.
Yes, I do. The second one is called The Eighth Floor by Catherine Hernandez. It feels like I've been here forever. I've been studying since, well, I don't really know when. Finals, am I right? It must have been Saturday when I started studying. I don't remember. How screwed am I when I can't even remember all I've been studying? I swear. I woke up feeling like I hadn't read a thing and... Wait, literature. It was lit, like my Friday. I don't remember leaving the party, or coming here, actually. Must have been dead drunk. I know my mates made me puke it up. If they didn't, I'd be dead, and not just on the inside. But now I gotta hit the bricks on the 8th floor, where I'm gonna be till I'm either dead or done. God, am I being punished? It's sort of hell, a purgatory, this place. I have one final tomorrow. Everything else was a paper. Just one more and I'm done. Really done. Done with this school, done with this library, and done with this creepy floor with no freaking clocks or noise or Wi-Fi whatsoever. Or people either. Was it always like this? Oh, and my phone's dead 'cause FML. But I only need the book to study anyway. The Divine Freaking Comedy. Part 1 sucked, but I'm really stuck on Part 2. Guess I'll just have to reread it after a nap. It feels like I've been here forever. And now, finally, my last story is called In the Sight of the Mighty Harg by Libby Weber. Welcome to the gift registry of Bethany Cooper, daughter of James and Jennifer Cooper of Boise, Idaho, and Thongo Mordoth, spawn of Shableth. We are thrilled that your avatar will be witnessing our bonding ceremony via polyspectral transdimensional holograph. We can't wait to be joined for the rest of our existence in the sight of our friends, broods, and under the mighty Harg who shall forever reign. We know that any bonded state can be challenging and that there are concerns about our compatibility. But our commitment is strong, our resources are plentiful, and the xenobiological replicators on Salmoran Prime are confident that, Harg willing, our bonding shall be the first of many between our peoples. At our brood's request, we have compiled a list of gifts whose purchase will ensure our line's continuation. One-way beam to Salmoran Prime, one two-way shuttle between Targeth and Salmoran Prime, seasons 1 through 10 of Friends on gluon-resistant metapolate, standard interdimensional manifestation and genetic linkage treatment, payable in plutonium or Confederacy credits in increments of planetary rotation. The ceremony will take place 1 quantum and genetic entanglement is confirmed. 1 beryllium-bladed ceremonial schlack. 1 memorial torch for Shableth Brood's catacombs. Targethian-inspired armor with acid-proof lining and ceramic scaling, size 10. The Word for World is Forest by Ursula K. Le Guin. District 9, the Criterion 2073 release. And Universe's Best Overlord coffee mug. Thank you so much for visiting our registry, and may the mighty Hargs smite your enemies.
Brava, Melanie. And you're being transported away so early. The applause continues and you can't hear because you've been transported away. Joining us now is Gabe, who is already in on the transporter. Gabe Pan.
Hello. Hey, how's it going? Tonight I'm going to go ahead and start with a little bit of a story that goes ahead and takes a real bite out of the science and science fiction. It's a story by Baram Karadmand. It's called From the Mothership. It was built as a tesseract. Minimized time, distance, and search space. However, a Riemannian manifold, the 3rd floor, turned the building into a flat torus. But why was it built in the first place? And of all places, at the Jewel of James. Regularity was the answer, and Nash himself had coiled space unbounded to create a symmetry out of which all other answers could emerge. If all that detail confuses you, I shall suffice to say that it was the birthplace. Fiat Lux was the motto. I was there when they set off the flame at the center of the tesseract. It was to burn for 9.5 years without any external fuel. The flame was a torus in itself, creating light out of light, which is indeed how electromagnetic radiation propagates. But here the space in which photons travel was curved to entrap them. This made the flame dark, as it did not emit any photons and absorbed bypassing ones. However, this would only increase the mass of the flame by 278 nanograms. What was unforeseen was that the event horizon collapsing over on itself. After 3.2 years, the curvature grew in scale, which rendered it unsmooth, making it possible for a few photons to dissipate out of the flame, turning it into a black hole. Penrose's diagrams were right. The leaked information was enough to break the firewall at the surface, creating a wormhole connecting the tesseract to its counterpart in the white hole. And then they arrived.
Bravo, Gabe. Another.
Yes, we're going to move on to Delivery by Terry M. Vogel. Here's a fun little story about, I'll just go ahead and read it and let you figure it out for yourself. Delivery. The Geisel sets into the concrete and steel landing cradle. The supporting clamps lack hands, pushing it into our orangey sky. Its roar reduced to a tolerable rumble. The 5th junior librarian steps, or rather floats out. Tall, blue, somewhat annoyed. Hi, Bob, is that for me? He's holding a hard drive in his right hand. He rolls his eyes. All of them. No, it's for one of the other hundreds of other patrons on this planet who can't read a pickup notice correctly. What can I say? I'm eager to start this research. I show up early. They get annoyed. It's tradition. Bob sighs and hands over the drive. That's every document, article, and video we found on the 10th Galena Arts Festival and subsequent riots. The scanned books and maps will be ready when you return to meet with the 4th senior librarian for your research appointment in... He glances at his wrist pad. 3 days. She found additional sources. Might be of interest. The only thing better than receiving deliveries from the Geisel is actually being inside. Any chance I can... No. 3 days. You'll also find a list of what we couldn't get. Mostly from Galena's planetary archives. But I know. I get virtual access to them when the Alexandria arrives next year. No problem. I'll certainly have enough here to keep myself occupied until then. Bob sort of nods bye and floats back towards the ship. And just before he's out of earshot, so, be back here tomorrow night, right? Okay, to wrap up this little round, I'm going to actually read the one that I wrote for the short story, Science Fiction Fest. Thank you all.
Gabriel Pan.
Yeah, this one's a little bit heavier, so strap in and get yourselves ready for this. It's called Are You Ready? By Gabriel Pan. Are you ready, Galen? Will we feel anything, Annika? What? When reality changes back. Will we feel anything? I don't know. Did you feel anything the first time? I'm not sure. Remember when I told you that everything before last week was hazy? Like I just woke up without any memories? That's changing. Today I remember everything up to last year. Annika, I remember us. Our work, this facility. 14 years of marriage. We have a son. Did you remember that too? I remember, Galen. Maybe it's the same in the other reality. Are you ready? Wait! Are you sure this is a good idea? What if we just leave things the way they are? I think we're remembering more and more because history is solidifying, rebuilding itself. What if this reality is becoming the reality? Maybe we shouldn't risk another adjustment. I mean, what if we make another mistake? What if we push ourselves farther off the baseline instead of returning to it? What if the Loring data is wrong? Does it matter? The temporal feedback is real. You did the modeling. The wave has worked its way around the curve of the universe 19 times in 4 days. The ripples are getting stronger and more frequent. Once it reaches critical mass, everything ends. But what if we don't even know each other in the next reality? Annika's voice was barely a whisper. Then please remember, I love you. Galen took his wife's trembling hand. I'm ready. Thank you.
Bravo, Gabe. And that one was very well received that evening. It was a very serious one. People were just speechless afterwards. There was silence in the room. And next, teleporting in. Oh, Miss Ellen Lawson is teleporting in. Join me, Ellen. Here she is. Ellen, sit in this throne, won't you?
Thank you, Scotty. Yes, I'll sit in this throne. So nice to be here tonight for this eerie program. This first that I'm reading is by Tim Chappell, untitled. You're about to become one of the first humans to live on Mars. These are your last moments on Earth, and you're spending them in a library? The library's full of stories, characters who have faced some of the most terrifying challenges and yet have overcome them. I like to come here when I'm feeling lost or scared or weak. These books saved me. When? When I was at my lowest, when I was terrified. I had failed too many times and didn't know what to do. I got fired from my job and knew I'd be out on the streets. I knew it was over. I was ready for the screen to fade to black like in a movie or a video game, but it didn't. The movie kept playing. It wasn't the end. The universe wasn't done with me yet. What happened? One night I took shelter in a library, and as I was there, I began to read a sci-fi novel like I did when I was a child. And then I read another, and another. I saw that these characters were always having problems, but chose to see them as adventures, and so I would be like them. Fear, problems, and adventure are often the same thing. And if I ever felt scared or lost again, I would return here and find more characters to learn from. Unlike the characters in these books, my story has not been written yet, and that excites me. The second is A Twiglet and a Tear, or How We Got Here, by Glennie Modal. It was the age of Geisel, when Geisel had long since ceased to age. Beyond the time of brick and mortar turned cyberspace, turned hyperspace, turned hyper techo-conscious bio-inclusionary surplusing halograph morphic post-pansexual